Hello everybody and welcome to the last day of the weekend, the last day of the Jubilee weekend. We're here at Crafters TV. My name's Becky. You may not recognise me because I'm often on the other side of the studio hiding behind a sewing machine, let's be honest. So I normally do the softer side of life, but I'm presenting this week, which is really quite exciting. But I'm not on my own. I do have Lily with me here. Lovely Lily, who I hardly ever get to work with. How are you doing, Lily?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. I'm so excited that we're here together.
I know, it's great.
Fabulous.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a super Sunday, that's for sure.
And I'm really excited about the whole sort of Colour Me Happy, because I've never been able to actually watch a show live, actually here, and having all these opportunities. You're going to show us lots of different techniques that you can do with all of the pens and everything. So it's a really, really good starting point for people that just want to hone their skills or perhaps not too sure about how to use everything in the Academy of Colour.
Absolutely. We're going to keep it really, really educational this morning. If you guys at home have got any questions, please do get them in. We're going to try our very best to answer any queries you might have. But like Becky said, if you are new to colouring or you just want to sort of take your skills that little step further, then today's show is going to be absolutely perfect for you. So sit back, relax, snap up some of the amazing deals we've got and just enjoy the show because I'm so excited for this one.
Fantastic. I'm going to be making sure that I've got a few pens over on that side of the studio so I could do a little bit of colouring in at the same time. We do have some fantastic deals because this is our Jubilee weekend. Jubilee weekend, that's why I'm wearing the crown. Although, if you have watched shows that I've been on before, you will notice I need very little encouragement to put something glittery on my head. But as it's the last day, I thought, well, you know, might as well wear the crown. So to celebrate our Jubilee weekend, if you're not already a Club Inspire member, you can join and you will get, after sort of Sunday, late midnight tonight, you'll probably get a little voucher, £5, €5 or $5 into your account in order for you to purchase something with that little voucher. But we also have 3 for 2 on all adhesives, 3 for 2 on Gemini accessories and 3 for 2 on assorted paper and card packs. So definitely worth the time for you to purchase. You're also going to get double points this weekend as well. And if you didn't need further encouragement to make a purchase, you're going to get free shipping for all UK customers, half price shipping for US customers, and you're also going to be in with it. If you spend more than £10, you'll be able to get a goodie bag, sorry, not a goodie bag, a little free gift. But we do have goodie bags as well. So if you want to start messaging us on with our social team, drop us a question, ask us what we're getting up to next week. Ask Lily a question about some of the colouring bits and pieces we're doing. Any kind of comments whatsoever, if you can send those in, you can be in with a chance to win this fantastic goodie bag. And we've had a different goodie bag every day, so it's definitely worth popping that, having a look and saying hello to all of us. Now, the other thing we need to tell you about is the Craft Awards. So the Craft Awards, I think the deadline is Monday for the Craft Awards or Tuesday next week, but we would love for you to have to nominate one of us as a Craft Personality of the Year, Designer of the Year. There are loads of different categories in order for you to vote. So we've got Female Craft Personality of the Year. We're all on there. We've got Male Craft Personality of the Year. They're all on there. Ultimate Gadget Machine. Obviously, we've got our die cutting machine, our Gemini die cutting machine. If you want to put a nomination in for Best Brand for Crafts, we would love that nomination as well. We've got all sorts of different things. We've got workshops, lots of different categories that Crafters Companion would be available in. So we would really enjoy for you to go onto the website, message, pop down your nominations. When the nominations close, they will choose like the top nominations and then they will ask people to vote for their favourite. So Designer of the Year, or Most Loved Shopping Channel of the Year as well. We've got a fantastic Jubilee weekend super saver. We showed you this yesterday and it was super popular. So popular, in fact, that 80% has now gone. So if you are sort of teetering on the cusp of popping this into your bag, make sure you do. I already have done, but it's such a good deal. So you're going to be getting £100 or $130 worth of product in here for just £30 or $40. You've got a huge range of bits and pieces in here. Now, if I just point out this die here, so this is the Tea Party waterfall die. This would be worth £24.99. Then if you add this little die here, this Celebrate die, those combined together would make the total, the £30 or $40 that you would spend. Therefore, the rest of it would be for free. So you've got a 12 by 12 paper pad down there, you've got 2 ink pads, you've got a selection of Centura Pearl card in platinum and in deep purple, you've got assorted dies, all sorts of bits and pieces there for you, and it's such a bargain because of course if you are a Club Inspire member, your platinum price would be £24 or $32, and remember, everything you've got going to be buying today, you're going to get double points. And if you spend more than £10 or $10, this is the free gift we'll be giving you. So this is a die for making a beautiful heart box. Perfect for little gifts. You'll be able to use this all throughout the year. And this is a freebie that you'll get inside your bundle once you pay for something at £10 or $10. So really well worth having the opportunity to buy bits and pieces for you today. But definitely if you're keen on this super saver, you want to put that in your basket immediately, as soon as possible. So we're having loads of people messaging in. Aunt Penny said good morning from Minnesota. Jubilee deals are just amazing. I absolutely agree with you on that. Sandy said good morning from Florida's Treasure Coast. Rebecca says good morning everybody. Lynn, good morning Becky and Lily. Carletta's in, Regina's in. Lynn says you're looking very regal, Becky. Yes. I put the crown on again. And Marcia said she's voted already, fantastic. I do need to point out that the voting is only available for UK residents, so I'm afraid if you are a US customer, you won't be able to vote. But we like the fact that you just wanted to vote for us anyway, that we feel the love for that, so that's a definite bonus for us anyway. So today, Lily, it's all about the Academy of Colour, isn't it?
Absolutely, I'm so excited to be bringing this amazing product to you guys at home. If you are new to colouring, perhaps you've never even picked up an alcohol pen or an aqua marker before, you just want to have a go at colouring, then this is going to be absolutely perfect for you. Or perhaps you've been colouring for a number of years and you just feel that you need to take that colouring journey that little one step further. You really want to hone your skills, then this product is going to be absolutely perfect for you as well. Not only are we giving you the physical product, so the actual box itself, which we're going to have a little look at later, and let me say, it's absolutely amazing. But we're also giving you the education as well, which is quite frankly, you can't really put a price on it. It's totally invaluable. To get Leanne, and it's Leanne that gives you that education in those educational videos, to get her expertise, the years and years of knowledge that she's built up with colouring, with the Spectrum Noir brand, to be able to get that education delivered straight to you in your home whenever you want it. You can pause, you can rewind, you can replay as many times as you like. It's truly invaluable. So not only are you getting the product to actually start practicing with, you're getting all that tuition as well, which is absolutely incredible. It's truly comprehensive when it comes to your colouring journey, and I think if you're anything like me, you're going to absolutely love this product.
There's something really exciting about having it in that box. When I saw the box yesterday, because I've seen them on shows, but I've not actually got my hands on it, I was like, I want it. I want it. I don't even know if I necessarily want to use them, but I want to look at them. So I'm really excited that we've got the opportunity to sort of open this up and see what you can do with this, because but being able to colour in, there's such a myriad of different things you can do, and people tend to be a little bit scared when they first when they see the work that you do and the other craft experts do. It's so superb, and you think, my God, how on earth am I ever going to be able to create something like that? But once you follow those techniques, anyone can do it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fabulous that we're getting all these pens. Not only are we getting pens, we're getting stamps, we're getting all the accessories as well. To get it in this beautiful box is absolutely fantastic. But like Becky says, it becomes, because it's so beautiful, it's one of those products you just sort of want to look at and stroke a little bit. But the fact that you've actually got the tuition as well means that it's not just a purchase that you're going to have on your shelves, you're going to look at, you're going to admire. It's something that you're really going to dive into. You're going to get colouring and you're going to get practicing. That tuition, that education is going to allow you to really progress on your colouring journey, and it's just such an amazing product. I mean, having all the goodies in that box itself is fantastic, but to get that education as well is just amazing.
Brilliant, really looking forward to, I always find an unboxing is quite exciting, isn't it? So, you know, this one is going to be, I can imagine when people get this at home, that the excitement of opening the box and seeing all those different colours is going to be quite exciting.
Absolutely. Should we go for it?
Go for it, please.
Right. When I first got mine home, it was like, oh my goodness. So I sat down, got myself a cup of tea and just enjoy looking through your box. Before you even think about colouring, before you even think about how you're going to use it, just have a little look through, and it's like a journey going through it. It's absolutely amazing. So you can see on the front it's got that beautiful stylish branding. We know straight away it's our Spectrum Noir Academy of Colour. We know it's Spectrum Noir, so we know that quality. We know those years of experience that this brand has, and it's going to give us amazing results because we know that brand. The box itself is absolutely fabulous quality. It's actually got a magnetic clasp, which I have to say, I love that magnetic clasp. It just gives it that real luxurious and quality feel. So if you are actually getting this as a gift, it's going to be perfect. Your colouring journey starts here, and absolutely it does with this box. And as we open the box, look at that first layer. Oh my goodness, all those amazing, beautiful colours. And our first layer is actually our duo colour alcohol markers. So we can see it there, each one is double-ended. And they are this beautiful brush nib. So fantastic quality brush nib on both ends of each of the pens within here. You can see we've got a beautiful range of different colours, so it doesn't matter whether you're colouring perhaps landscapes, it might be portraits, it might be flowers and foliage, whatever you like to colour in, you've got a shade which is going to work absolutely beautifully for any genre you're colouring. Very much like any of our other alcohol markers from Spectrum Noir, we've got that naming and that numbering system that makes it really easy for us to blend and match colours. So you can see on this pen we've got citrus green and pear green, which is CG1 and CG3. So the letters are telling us what colour family it is, so this is the CG family, and we know that if the colours are in that same colour family, they're going to blend together beautifully. The numbers denote sort of how dark or how light that colour is, with the higher numbers being darker shades and the lower numbers being lighter shades. And every single pen within the duo colour alcohol pen family are numbered in that sort of system, so it just makes it really easy for us to blend our colours, and when we come to choosing our colours it takes all that guesswork out of it, which is just fabulous. We do also have that blender included in there, which is super important, and you'll see when you come to watch the videos, you'll see Leanne uses that blender a lot, and we'll take you through all the uses of why it's so important. So that's just our first layer. If you think that was fabulous in itself, wait till we actually come to the next layer.
Oh, look at those.
Honestly, it's like an experience going through it. It's absolutely incredible. So that was our alcohol markers, and then we come to our duo colour aqua markers. Very similar in terms of sort of the way the pens are set up. So again, they are dual ended. On both ends you have that beautiful quality brush nib that's so easy to work with. As we see as we go through the show, it's just, honestly, it's a dream to colour with. It's just beautiful. And we've got that on both ends. Slightly different in terms of the naming. You just have an actual name rather than a code with these, but again you've got a lovely range of colours, so perfect for lots and lots of different sorts of images you might be colouring. But we've not just got those pens within this layer. We've also got a few essential tools. So we've got two different paint brushes. So you've got your larger paintbrush, which is perfect for all your backgrounds when you're doing colour washes. That's going to be absolutely ideal. Again, it's Spectrum Noir, so fantastic quality. And we've also got sort of a soft grip area, which makes these really easy to hold and to use. Along with our two paint brushes, we do also have our spritzer bottle, great when we're creating our backgrounds and doing our different spritzing techniques. And then we also have our opaque white gel pen, which is great for use with your aqua pens, but you can also use it with your alcohol markers as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's super useful if you want to add highlights. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. So the fact that that's included is just fantastic. So as if those two layers weren't enough in themselves to get all those fabulous pens and the accessories, we then come on to the next layer. And here you can see we've actually got a little card. You'll all get one of these in each of your boxes, and that just has your little QR code on the back. If you scan that, that will take you to the videos that accompany this box. So all that educational content that we spoke about already, if you just scan that little QR code on the back, that will take you through to all those videos that Leanne has done, especially for you, teaching you exactly how to use these pens and the stamps within the box. And talking of stamps, we've included 2 whole sets, 2 whole sheets full, absolutely packed full of clear stamps. Now, these aren't just sort of any old pretty image that we've decided to use, perhaps from old collections that we've sort of cobbled together. Absolutely not. These have all been specifically hand-drawn to actually match all the techniques that Leanne wants to teach you within the lessons. So you've got things like hair included, you've got things like wings and dresses so you can practice all your folds. You've got your foliage in there as well. If we come to the other sheet, we've got butterflies, we've got gorgeous flowers and leaves. You've even got sentiments on there. So if you are creating cards with your coloured images, you've got those finishing touches as well. So to get all of these stamps included is incredible, and these are all the images that Leanne will be using in the lessons. So you know that you've got everything you need when you come to sit down and do those tutorial lessons. You've got all the stamps included within your box, so you don't actually need to be buying additional stamps if you don't want to.
Fantastic. That makes a difference, doesn't it? Because it's
Absolutely.
one of the worst things to start doing a class and realise you don't have all the bits and pieces that you need.
Absolutely, and I actually told a little Porky there, you don't just get 2 sets of stamps, you actually get 3.
Wow.
So the third one, you've got more images on there, but you do also have your basic shapes. Now, Leanne actually teaches you all about light source, all about colouring these different shapes and how we shade them, whether they be cylindrical or more round. And by learning those techniques, we apply those to lots of different images to build up our tone. So, for example, you're going to practice colouring more spherical shapes, like that, and then we can apply that technique when we come to colouring in this cherry image. So it's very, very clever in the way that it's been put together and the way that it's been designed. So not 2 but 3 sets of stamps, which is incredible. So we've got pens, we've got stamps, we're even going to include, and this is absolutely invaluable, a little mixing palette. So it comes with a little protective layer. Just peel away that protective layer, and you can use this as a mixing palette for both your alcohol pens if you're doing a palette blending technique, or for your aqua pens as well. It's perfect, and you can just wipe it clean afterwards. So it's fabulous to have that included in here as well. And then as a final finishing touch, as if that wasn't enough already, we're even including the card in here. So you've got 1 set of watercolour card and 1 set of alcohol marker card in a nice compact size, so it's perfect if you are colouring on the go. This is going to be brilliant to bring with you. Your watercolour card is slightly textured, so you've got that slight texture to it, which is perfect when you are working with a water-based medium. And your alcohol marker card is really, really lovely and super smooth, so it's going to take all that alcohol ink beautifully, and it's going to allow you to blend really easily onto that surface. Once you do run out of these, we do have the Nina card, which is your alcohol marker card, and your watercolour card on today's show. So if you do want to stock up, as let's be honest, you're going to be doing lots and lots of colouring, you're going to use these up quicker than you can ever imagine. So if you do want to stock up on all your essential cardstocks when it comes to both your water-based and your alcohol-based mediums, we do have that on today's show as well. But honestly, how much you get in this box is absolutely incredible. To get all those pens, to get all those stamps, to get the card, to get all the accessories like your palette, your brushes, honestly, it's absolutely amazing. And as if that wasn't enough, we're going to teach you exactly how to use all these amazing products. It's just incredible.
Wow, you're absolutely right. That box just keeps on giving and giving, doesn't it? I thought initially it was just the pens at the top. But
No.
my goodness, it's great. It's a little bit like when you get a really nice box of chocolates and you're going through all the different layers to see what's there, and it just keeps on going, like a never-ending box of delights. That was what that could be. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to be making. I've had a few comments coming in. Sarah says, I love the Spectrum Noir markers, they blend so well. Rebecca says, I love the Academy of Colour. I've been colouring for years and I'm still learning with every class. I think that is a brilliant thing, you know, having online lessons, little videos, being able to show you different techniques. That means, you know, it's not a one-trick pony, is it? You're just, you know, you're able to use it for so many different bits and pieces. Regina says, my colouring was horrible, but after the very first lesson, it was beautiful. Leanne is a master. I have the Academy of Colour and I love it. Well, if that wasn't a total accolade for what, you know, doing the Academy of Colour, I don't know what is.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been using Spectrum Raw pens for, I have to say it's getting on for 10 years now.
Really?
Yeah, so this month it'll actually be 10 years ago to the month that I got my first set of Classique pens from Spectrum Raw.
Wow.
And I love colouring. It's probably one of my most favourite things to do. I mean, everything in craft is my most favourite thing to do. You know how it is. But I just love colouring. And honestly, the amount I've learned from just watching these lessons, even as someone who's been colouring with Spectrum Raw for a number of years, I couldn't believe the amount that I actually learning from Leanne. She is, let's be honest, she's a master of colouring. She can teach you so much about colouring, and the amount I've learned and I've picked up along the way has been incredible. So if you are new, honestly, you're going to learn so much from these lessons. It's just so enjoyable to actually just sit back, relax, learn something new, apply those techniques in your day-to-day crafting. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So we're going to start off with a little bit of colouring. I'm going to take it right back to basics, as Leanne's going to do in the lessons. And I'm actually bringing in some of the carved front colouring pads that we've got on today's show. So I just want to show you that you can actually use the stamps or colouring pads that you've also already got in your collection alongside the pens in this box, and taking those techniques from the lessons and applying them to different images. So I've taken this pen, which is BT6 and BT8, and I'm just going to show you how we actually get a smooth blend. So taking BT6, and again we can see that lovely quality brush nib on that end. We talk a lot about smooth blends and blending colour, and a lot of people think that a smooth blend is actually blending several colours together seamlessly. And that's not actually the case, and this is something Leanne will teach you in the lessons. A smooth blend, all that means is one colour, it's one pen, and getting that seamless lay down of colour onto your image. When we're thinking about blending several colours together, that's actually what's known as a blend transition. So getting the ombre between dark and light is a blend transition. But if we lay down one colour, so we're taking our BT6 from our alcohol pens, laying down the colour, and I'm just working in small circular motions to enable me to get that really smooth lay down of colour onto this image. This is going to give us our smooth blend. Now if we go over that area a couple of times, that's going to allow us to get that smooth blend. Alcohol ink is actually translucent, so that's what allows us to blend with these pens. We can layer colour over the top to get that that blend and that ombre from light to dark. So if I go over a couple of times, that's going to allow that ink to soak through the fibres of the card, and it's going to allow that even lay down of colour onto this butterfly. So I'm just going around filling in all that area, saturating that with ink so that we're going to get that smooth blend onto there very easily. If we turn our artwork over, you can see that the ink has bled through to the other side, and that's exactly what we want. That means that we've saturated all the fibres, we've coloured all the fibres with the ink, and that's exactly what you want. So don't worry if you turn your cardstock over and you've got ink on the other side, that's exactly what we want. And you can see that I'm actually working onto a piece of cardstock, so when you are colouring with your alcohol pens, do always have a piece of cardstock underneath. That just means that any ink that goes through to the back will be sucked into that cardstock. If you have something non-porous like a glass mat underneath, what can happen is that ink can be sucked through this cardstock and then can pool on your glass mat underneath, and that can actually be sucked back up through your cardstock and can result in you having bleeding of that ink around the edges. And you sort of think, well, I've not coloured out the lines, what has gone wrong? And all that's happened is that ink has been sucked back up. So what you want is something porous underneath, just a piece of scrap paper. It doesn't have to be specialist alcohol marker card, just something to protect your surface and allow that ink to be sucked through.
And when you're using your pens, I mean, I remember as a child, if I was using a felt tip pen on a colouring pad, if you keep using your felt tip pen over and over, it would pull the fibres of the paper. But this won't happen with that card and with those pens, will it?
Absolutely not. So you can see that I coloured over a couple of times there, and if you're using something like a cheap felt pen, that would start to sort of bobble and pull the paper away. But because we've got the right sort of card and we've got the right sort of pen, you're going to get that smooth lay down of colour, and it's going to be absolutely seamless and beautiful. So we used our BT6, now we're going to go in with our BT8, which is slightly darker. We're going to add a little bit of shading onto here. And just while I've been talking, that alcohol ink might have dried ever so slightly. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to lay down another layer of that lightest colour. When we're blending, we always want to be blending wet into wet. It's the easiest way. It's going to allow that ink to blend really easily. It's a lot easier to try and blend wet ink than it is to sort of blend onto dry card. So just make sure that we've got a nice sort of lay down of colour and that it's not dry when we come to blend. So we're going in with BT8 now, and I'm thinking with this butterfly it's going to be darker into the centre, and then as we go down to the edges of the wings it's going to be slightly lighter. So all I'm going to do, I'm always turning my artwork. Don't try and turn your wrist in an awkward way. If you do have your Totally Tiffany rotating design board, then that is absolutely perfect. But I'm flicking downwards from the centre of that body towards the edges of the wings. I'm flicking, just flicking downwards, and it's really easy to do this with that brush nib. It just allows that flicking motion to be done so easily. And all we're doing is flicking outwards to add a little bit of shade, a little bit of depth and dimension onto that butterfly. Easy to create, but can you see what a difference that makes? And it starts to make it look really quite realistic and dimensional.
It really does, doesn't it?
But literally
so
just
quickly.
2 pen, well, technically 1 pen, 2 colours of pen, 1 pen. Very quickly, very easily, we've started to build up that dimension onto there. But we're going to take it sort of 1 step further. This can seem like a really scary technique if you've never tried it before, but honestly, once you start doing this, it will kind of revolutionise your colouring. It's a fantastic technique. So when we're thinking about our light sources and our light and shade, anything that's in front is kind of sort of closest to the light source. And anything that's further back and overlapped by something, it's behind, so it's going to be darker, it's going to be in shade. So if we look at this butterfly, this wing that we've just coloured in here is in front, and this other wing is behind. So the behind wing is going to be slightly darker. Now if we're just using this pen, we've already used the darkest colour, the BT8, on this front wing. If we want to make this wing behind a little bit darker, we're going to have to use a darker colour. But we don't have a darker colour, so what we're going to do? Well, we're bringing in this pen, and honestly, this is the most invaluable pen, I think, in the whole box. Not only have you got your blender on there, but you've also got your IGA, and we're actually going to lay down a little bit of grey as an undercoat before we add on our blue. So take your IGA, and the areas that would be the very darkest, so I'm thinking right in here, just where that wing is overlapping, so it's going to be casting a little bit of a shadow. I'm going to add a little bit in there. Don't add too much, you know, you don't want to be fully colouring the wing in, but just adding a little bit to the centre and to that area there, and then just flicking outwards, exactly that same technique that we used for our first wing. So that was our IG8. If we bring back our blue pen, we're then going in with the BT8, which is our darkest, and all we're going to do is we're going to go over that colour that we've just laid down and flick outwards. And all that we've done is we've added in that grey layer underneath, and because alcohol ink, like we said earlier, is translucent, we'll get some of that grey showing through, and it'll mean that area is darker. So it's darker than the BT8 because we've got the grey underneath, and it's going to allow us to get that darker sort of colour.
It wouldn't occur to me to mix those colours. You just assume that was going to be wrong. You're going to end up with a nasty mess. That's amazing.
Absolutely. So it wouldn't work with something like your Aqua pens, because you will just get sort of a muddy mess, because they will sort of blend together. But because we layer our alcohol ink over each other, and with it being translucent, it works. And it's at first you see it, you think, what? This is a grey butterfly, what am I doing? But honestly, look how dimensional that's started to look.
Yeah.
If you do want to add more dimension, go back in with your grey and just very gently and lightly, just add a little bit more just over the top, and that will give you even more depth onto there. But how easy was that? I know it seems quite daunting at the start, and in the lessons you'll see Leanne actually colours a cherry and she starts adding grey to this cherry. You think, blimey, a grey cherry, this is looking a little bit strange. And then you add the red over the top and it absolutely pops. It looks incredible. But it's brilliant if you've not got a huge range of tones within one colour family. It's a way of sort of extending those colours that you've got. It's extending the possibilities that you've got in terms of blending and adding shade. But you can see that it really does look like that front wing is further forward and is in front of that other wing. But how easy was that to create? Think of that, using that technique on all the butterfly stamps that you've got in your collection. Any other stamp at all that you've got, any of your card front colouring pads, it's going to work beautifully. But just such an easy technique. Once you know how to do it, you really will be away with adding grey underneath your coloured.
That looks beautiful, and it matches my top.
Well,
it's almost like you planned that.
Absolutely, it's just for you, Becky.
That really is spectacular. And I think, you know, that because if you know, as kids, we all have sort of felt tip pens, and you know that you can't muddle them together because you just make a mess. But it's a totally different technique using these alcohol markers, and it's almost like sort of relearning how to colour in all over again, isn't it? And I love the fact that, you know, you don't have to have an enormous range of different colours, but you can mix and match those together to create those different kinds of hues. Really wonderful sort of technique that you've just shown us there. Have a look at a couple of more messages we've had. Lynn said, or Stacey says, that's a nice compact box of goodies. You're absolutely right. Lynn says, I love all of my Spectrum Noir pens and pencils. I've been buying them from CC since the first time they started selling them. I also have the Academy of Colour, which is a fabulous collection, and Leanne's lessons are brilliant. I totally agree with you. I think it's going to be a wonderful sort of addition to your sort of colouring pack and getting started on doing something a little bit different. So we do have these really beautiful stamps. Now these are absolutely amazing for you if you're just beginning to start your colouring, because you're going to see how to do these techniques. And colouring sort of faces and hair is really, really difficult, or you assume it's going to be difficult. That's the one thing you don't want it to look flat, do you? And you're going to be able to use these stamps with the Academy of Colour in order to sort of get these lovely techniques. So this one is the Tumbling Wave. This next one is the Effortless Chic. That's how I'd like my hair at a wedding, I think. Yeah, I'd quite like that. But beautiful, you can see how effective that looks. It almost looks like it's been printed. It looks so professional. And these are techniques that you will be able to achieve by sort of following the lessons that Lily's going to be showing you today, and also that you'll be able to see from Leanne. This one here is Timeless Braids. Beautiful as well. So these are quite significantly large stamps as well. So you're going to be able to get plenty of colouring in done here. This is Little Darling. This next one is Luscious Locks. That looks really nice. I like that. That's the kind of hair that I hope that I have when I wear a crown, but it doesn't. It's a bit too flat. And then this final one is the Ethereal Beauty, and that really does look like some kind of princess, lovely bits and pieces here. So this is £37.99, $47.75, but if you're a platinum member, you'll get that for £30.39 or $38.20. And do remember, everything this weekend comes with double points, and if you spend more than £10 or $10, you will get that lovely free gift, which is the box die just here, the little heart-shaped box die. So this is a great addition to pop into your boxes as well. So on to another demo, please.
Absolutely, yeah. Should we work in some of those stamps we've just had a little look
at? Oh yeah, why not? Definitely.
I love this collection. It's super, super new. I think it was launched a week or two ago. Absolutely gorgeous, and these are fabulous to practice all your techniques on. So I'm working with this image, and all I've done is I've used my rustic brown ink pad, the alcohol-proof ink pad. We've got those on today's show. You do need an alcohol-proof ink pad when you are using your alcohol markers, but we do have our Spectrum Noir Finesse ones on today's show. And I've stamped this onto the alcohol marker card, which is, of course, as we've seen already, included in the box, which is absolutely fantastic. So we've stamped that onto there. We've got stamp platforms, rocker blocks, and all sorts on today's show. So if you do need a stamping system, check the Shop the Day page on the website, and there's lots of options for you on there. So I've stamped this onto our card, and we're going to have a little go at colouring in some of the hair. Now these are such fun to colour in. Honestly, practising colouring this hair on these images is absolutely wonderful. Leanne will teach you in the lessons how to colour hair, and it's just using that technique, applying that same technique to your own images that you've already got in your stash, or perhaps new stamps that you're going to pick up today, and it's applying those techniques that you've learned, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So much fun to be able to colour images like this. So I've taken a couple of pens this time from our box. So they are dual-ended, as we've seen, but we can mix several pens together when we come to do our colouring. So we can see that these are from the same colour family. This is a TN colour family. So we've got TN6 being our darkest, then we move to down to TN5, TN3 and TN1. And you might see on this piece of scrap paper that I'm actually colouring onto, that I've got underneath, I've actually coloured, done a little swatch of all the different colours that you've got within your box. So these are all our alcohol pens, and then down the side we've got all our aqua pens that we'll have a little look at later. But you can just see really, really clearly the range of colours that we've got in here. So around here we've got our TN colour family. We're going to start off with TN3. We're going to use 3 different pens within this blend. So we're starting off with our lightest, which is our apricot, our TN3. And we're going to just focus on a small area of the image at a time. Now, as Becky said, these are really nice large format stamps, so these will absolutely fill a whole card front, whether it be a 5x7, a 6x6, even a 7x7, or a larger card if you want them to be, with a few layers. But with them being such big stamps, it means that we're going to break that image down into different component parts, and that's really important when we come to colouring. Don't think of it as just the one image. Start to break it down and work on an area at a time. So we're going to start with this top area of the hair. So we're going to go in with our TN3. And all we're going to do, just going to almost, it's a little bit like, I guess, a hairdresser when she's actually cutting hair. We're sort of sectioning the hair off into different sections and focusing on one area at a time. Not only does that make it more manageable when we're coming to actually do our colouring, but it means, as we were talking about earlier, about colouring wet into wet, working with wet ink rather than dry card, it means that our ink is going to be wet when we come to blend, and it's just going to make it a lot easier when we actually start blending our tones together. So we're getting that smooth blend. Not a blend transition just yet, but a smooth blend, a smooth, even lay down of colour just onto this top section of the hair. I'm going to go over it a couple of times just to make sure that we've fully saturated that card with our ink. We've got that completely smooth lay down of colour just in this top area. Don't think you need to colour in all the hair at one time. Absolutely not. Just work in one area at a time. Just focus on that one area, get the shading right, and then move on to the next area, repeating that technique.
So I'm having a go. I'm going to have a go. So I just wanted to check before I make a mistake.
Yes,
do I use my alcohol-proof ink
Absolutely.
now? Oh, right. Okay, I've done it right. I've done it right. Okay, because I think it just looks so lovely. I want to have a go, and this is a good opportunity for me to play with all the things, because like I said earlier on today, I keep putting things in my basket and buying them. And actually, what I should do is come in, have a bit of a play, and then buy afterwards. I don't think that's what I've done so far. I think I've just
that's what we do as crafters, though. We have to have everything. We have to have it all now. We have to pick up all the stamps. But the fact that you've got the lessons means that you've got that tuition, so your hand is going to be held every single step of the way. So you're going to get the beautiful products, but you're also going to get all that expertise as to exactly how you're going to use them, which is, I think, is what we need sometimes, because we do buy a lot.
Do you?
Yeah.
You don't, and sometimes when you buy things, sometimes you might watch a show and think, oh, I love that. I think that's a great idea. And then it arrives and you think, oh, I can't remember how to do this.
Absolutely.
And that's the great thing. You'll be able to watch these shows back, but also you'll be able to access all of Leanne's sort of tutorials. So you won't ever be lost.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got sort of a double whammy there. You've got all the shows that we've done with our Colour Me Happy, but then you've got the educational videos for life. And I think Becky called them little videos earlier. They're not little. They're 3 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you really want to dive into education, you've got Leanne for 3 hours. No interruptions, no sort of selling you the products. You've already got the product. We don't need to sell it to you in that education. You've got that colouring for all that time, and it's just fabulous. So let's get shading. So we're going in with our TN5, which is our mid-tone. And these stamps are fantastic, not only because they're beautiful artwork, but they're actually being very, very cleverly drawn. So you've got all those clues in there as to where the light and shade will be. You've got the right level of detail, and it's a little bit of a tricky balance, to be honest, when you come to design stamps, because you want enough detail in there so that we've given you all the clues as to where the light and shade will be, and we want enough detail so that you can really tell what it is. Sometimes if there's not enough detail in a stamp, it can be a little less clear as to, you know, what parts are which, what's the hair, what's the skin. But you don't want to add in too much detail so that it's sort of, there's not enough to colour. Sometimes stamps are sort of over-designed.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave us enough to colour. And the team have worked so hard with this collection of stamps, as they do with every single product that they bring to you. The team brings out here at Crafter's Companion. It's been cleverly designed, so we've got enough detail in those stamps that we know where our light and shade is, but we've still got that potential to colour them in and have a real fun time colouring in.
But they're still very usable in your crafts, aren't they? I think with some of these would be beautiful cards for giving to your bridesmaids. As a thank you, because these sort of work so beautifully. You can definitely use these in lots of places, and not just for, you know, working on your techniques.
Absolutely, and the thing is, with them being stamps, they're perfect to totally personalise. So you can colour the hair and the skin so it is personalised to that recipient. Perhaps they've got a real out there and different colour of hair. Perhaps they've got pink hair, perhaps they've got ombre hair. You know, lots and lots of different hair colours. It's not just, you know, browns and blondes and black hair like we're seeing with our colouring here. You can colour them in exactly whatever colour you like, and that's one of the fantastic things about stamps. So what we're doing with our TM5, around the edges and around where these lines are, where the hair is sort of partitioned into areas, that's where we're adding our mid-tone. So we're leaving that sort of preserved highlight, that area of the lighter colour around the middle. That's where the shine on the hair is. And around the edges and around these lines, we're adding in our darker colour, our mid-tone, which is our TN5. So you can see already, with just the two colours onto there, we've started to build up tone. But to add even more depth, we're going to go in with our TN6, which is our darkest. And of course, like we saw with the last image we coloured, if we wanted to add even more depth and dimension onto there, we could have coloured first with our grey pen to give that undercoat of grey, to give it real depth and dimension onto there. But we're just going in with our TN family, and we're still getting plenty of depth and dimension by using 2 different pens and 3 different shades in total. It allows us to build up that light and shade onto the hair. Really easy to create, but honestly, it's so much fun. Just using that flicking technique. Always be rotating your artwork to make it easiest for you. You don't want to be sort of bending your wrist in unnatural places.
And would you say that grey pen is probably the one that you use the most because it's so versatile?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just easy to nice and flick downwards and outwards to colour in that area. You can see we've coloured in that area very easily. Let's go in again and do another area. So we're going back in with our TN3 and exactly the same technique. So once you've mastered it for one area, you just repeat and apply that same technique all over that full image, all over the hair within this image. It's very easy. Once you know what you're doing, once you've learnt that technique, you can apply it not only to the other areas within this particular image, but to any of the stamps within your collection. So if you practice on this particular stamp, all of the other stamps within this range that you're getting within the bundle, you can apply exactly the same technique, and perhaps just mixing up your colours, mixing up what colour hair you're wanting to colour with, but you're using that same technique, that flicking technique, laying down the lightest colour first and then going in with your mid-tone and then your darker tone over the top. It allows you to create that really realistic effect quite easily, but really enjoyable. Just to sit down and get lost in the colouring of these images.
It's very easy to, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I'd forgotten where I was for a few moments. It's the most therapeutic thing, colouring in, isn't it? And I think it's one of those sort of childish, in a way, activities that we all love and remember. And now it's having a total revival, and it's brilliant because it's such a peaceful thing. It's very difficult to be angry or upset whilst you're colouring in. It's just a feel-good kind of thing to a little activity. Like you were saying before, like a mindful kind of activity that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've just got perhaps a few hours and you just want to take your mind off anything else, you don't really want to think about anything apart from the colouring that you're doing, it's absolutely perfect. You can honestly lose hours in the best possible way, and at the end you've got something to be proud of. You know, you've got that finished piece, whether you want to be popping that on your cards, maybe you want to even be framing them and using them for home decor pieces, because you are using those colouring skills and you will be colouring something absolutely beautiful. You want to show that artwork off. You don't just want to keep it perhaps in a journal or in a binder. You want to show it off, whether that be on cards that you're going to give to your loved ones, or whether that be you're going to gift it to somebody on a home decor piece, you're going to frame it. Be proud of that artwork, be proud of the skills that you've learned, and actually display that artwork rather than keeping it hidden away in a book that no one's going to see. Actually display it on your cards, on your scrapbook pages even. I mean, perhaps you have been to a wedding, like Becky said, this will be perfect for the bridesmaids, and perhaps you've got scrapbook pages of wedding photos and you want to add a little stamped image to sort of embellish those photos, then these will be absolutely perfect to add onto there as well. I'm thinking prom cards with these. I mean, it'll be prom season coming up soon, I would imagine, and like cards and gifts for any young lady would absolutely love these. They are such stunning images, but perfect for practicing all your colouring skills. So I'm just going in again with this same technique. It's the same technique that we did for the first section of hair. It's the same technique we did for the second section of hair. We're just repeating that with all the different areas of the hair. And it's up to you how large an area you're focusing at once. I mean, if you want to focus on a really, really small area, if you are really new to colouring, then that works fine as well, and just build up your confidence. But you do want to work when that ink is still wet, and it just allows you to blend those colours out really easily. So going in then with your darkest, and all the time I'm just using the clues in that artwork. I'm just following the lines where the light and shade would be, where the darker areas and the lighter areas would be. All the clues are in there, all those lines are in there, and it allows us just to build up that light and shade very easily with, you know, not a lot of time, not a lot of effort really spent on there. Just using that flicking technique, can see how easily we start to build up all that light and shade. We've got that sort of effect of the light shining on the hair in the centre there, but that's the sort of technique that you're going to be learning within these lessons. Leanne's going to take you through step by step how you would build up sort of the confidence and the experience to be able to practice on these stamps that we've got within the box. That's what Leanne's going to teach you. She's going to teach you how to colour those images, but she's not going to teach you how to colour just those images. She's going to teach you the techniques that you're going to apply to those images, and then you can go off, you look in your crafty stash, what are the stamps you've got, look how you can apply those techniques that you've learned, like to our natural beauty stamps, apply those techniques that you've learned time and time again, and you'll get fabulous results. And it's just so much fun just to learn something new that you can apply in your day-to-day crafting. It's just fabulous.
That looks absolutely beautiful. I'm really quite embarrassed by how mine is, so I'm just going to cover mine up just like that. It's the first time I've ever done it. But there's something really beautiful about the texture of those pens. They feel so beautiful as you're using them. It's like a really sort of good quality, almost like a watercolour brush, it feels like, doesn't it? It's got a really, really nice feel to it. Lots of people messaging in. Lynn says, I love watching somebody else colour. It's so relaxing. Completely agree with you. Lynn said, beautiful colouring, Lily, and I love that butterfly. Stacey said that was an amazing technique. Robbie says, I love the idea of placing the colour swatches on a sample. Alison says, it's a gorgeous stamp. Suzette, love how you're explaining every step, Lily. Yeah, absolutely, Lily. It really does help. And your voice is so soothing.
Oh,
it really
thank
is.
you.
I think, you know, sometimes you can have people on the TV reading a bedtime story. I'd like you to read me a bedtime story. I think
Anytime, Becky.
Nice and
just give me a call.
Well, we're going to give you the opportunity to check out your baskets. Definitely remember to check out if you're going to be having this Jubilee mystery bag, because there are not very many of those left. So you want to grab those as quickly as you can. But grab a cup of tea, check out your baskets, and we'll see you in a couple of moments.
Welcome to Club Inspire, the crafters' companion community where you can feed your crafty obsession. Join our fantastic loyalty club today and receive 20% off your first order. We'll also give you 250 points to help get you started. Other benefits of joining Club Inspire include exclusive special offers and discounts for Club Inspire members only, exclusive sneak peek previews of brand new product launches, and of course the Club Inspire community group on Facebook, where you can access exclusive content such as downloads, offers and inspiration, and of course you can chat and share your makes with other members. You'll receive 1 point for every pound, dollar or euro you spend, and the more points you receive, the more benefits you'll unlock. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, join the club and start rewarding yourself today.
Quick Buy, all your crafting must-haves in a flash. Draw, decorate, and customize your world with the colorful Spectrum Noir acrylic paint markers. Each premium paint marker gives opaque coverage on ceramic, glass, wood, and let's not forget paper, cardstock, and canvas. These versatile markers are filled with highly pigmented premium water-based paint, offering beautiful, rich, and smooth coverage. The colors can be blended together, and the fast-drying opaque paint is ideal for layering. A 3mm bullet tip offers smooth strokes, and a precision valve mechanism allows rich and consistent flow with no clogging. Quick Buy, all your crafting must-haves in a flash.
Hello, welcome back. I've had to put my glasses on because I'm concentrating so much. I was looking down here, concentrating, and then looking over to Lynn, and I'm thinking, I can't see her. That's what happens when you get old. But I hope you've really had the opportunity to check out your baskets and make yourself a cup of tea. We're going to get started with a couple more demonstrations in a moment. But I wanted to show you the colouring pads. So this is what we're going to be doing in the next demonstration. So you can see you're going to be getting these colouring pads with these beautiful designs in them. So this is the butterfly botanicals, and they're quite small little things to colour in, but they're great for travelling, aren't they? Because they're quite little. You pop them in your handbag, and if you've been one of those people that's going on holiday, you may be delayed at the airport, might as well make the use of that spare time and do a little bit of colouring in. You'll also be getting these foiled sentiments down the side as well. But you can be using these in all sorts of bits and pieces in your scrapbooking, in card making, and little things sometimes are less daunting than large things to colour in, aren't they?
Absolutely. I have to say I love these colouring pad card fronts. It's not easy to say, but they are easy to work with, and like Becky says, they are a perfect size. Just pop in your handbag. I mean, I cannot stand having to wait at train stations, at airports. I can't sit there and not do anything. I have to be doing something. So getting a few of these in your handbag. The pens are perfect as well to take with you. With them being dual-ended, it means basically you're getting 2 pens in one, so you're having to carry less pens. So perfect for sort of crafting on the go. Perhaps with the weather being a little bit nicer, you want to do a little bit of colouring in the garden. With these being a more compact size, they're perfect to just bring out if you're sitting outside as well. If you're moving around room to room within your house as well, they're great for that. But they are just beautiful images to get colouring. And as well, you've got such a range of designs within that collection. So across, I think there's 4 different pads you're getting. You're getting lovely floral images like we're seeing there. We're having lots of images of the birds, sort of winged beauties we've got in there. We've even got almost like sort of slightly tribal images as well in one of your pads. You've got all your animals. You've got something more mystical and magical. So you've got all different genres covered across those 4 colouring pads. And as well, you get multiples of each design. So if you are wanting to snip into them, perhaps layer up, do a little bit of decoupage, maybe some invertage, pyramage, any of those techniques, because you do have several of each design, you can be doing that absolutely. And sort of the crowning glory in this collection is the fact that you get foiled sentiments, and they are fabulous. I use them on lots of other projects, not just with my coloured images. Because you get so many within the collection, you can be using them on your other projects too, and they are foiled in gold, silver and rose gold, and across the 4 different pads each sentiment is different, so you're not going to have duplicates. And as well, the sentiments are sort of relevant to the imagery, so you've got things like Oh, I'm trying to read some of them here.
Things like happiest of birthdays, shine bright, stay strong, which were particularly good where you've got this kind of lion, tiger and kind of imagery, haven't you?
Absolutely. So they're perfect for the images. So they're not just sort of random generic sentiments that we've thrown in there. They match with that imagery perfect, and a lot of them are quite uplifting, which I think is sort of what we need, especially at the moment. Send somebody a card with an uplifting sentiment and a beautifully coloured image, I think is absolutely perfect. But wow, look at the sort of effects you can create with those. Incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And these are the best ever price. So this is £23.98 or $31.08 if you are in the club. So we're going to get started on another demonstration, aren't we? And I'm going to have another go. Got the glasses on, there's no excuse now.
Yeah, no excuse. I mean, when we had that little break there, I said to Becky, have you got some of those pads over there? She said, no. I said, right, yeah, have some of mine. Get colouring. You want to get colouring along. It's one of those things, colouring. You see somebody else doing it, you're like, I want to have a go. It's so therapeutic, so much fun to do. But with these card front colouring pads, it's great to apply all those techniques that you're going to learn in your lessons with Leanne. So this is one of the images from our card front colouring pads, and they are printed onto specialist alcohol marker card. So these are for use with your alcohol-based mediums. You don't want to be adding a lot of water to these. They are for your alcohol pens, but they are perfect for use with your duo colour alcohol pens that we've got in the kit. So we're going to focus on this lovely butterfly down here, and I want to show you blending colours that perhaps you might think, they're not going to blend very well. They're from completely different colour families. So we take it right back to the start of the show. I was telling you about the lettering and numbering system, and I was saying how the letters denote the colour family. We want to use pens from the same colour family to blend. Well, I'm sort of throwing that out the window, and we're having two completely different colour families, but we can blend them together to get amazing ombre effects. So we're going with PV2, PV1, and then our other pen is IB3 and IB1. And all we're going to do to start with is we're going to start with our IB3. And focusing on this butterfly down here, we're going to start at the very centre of these wings. We're just going to focus on one wing at a time. We don't have to do the whole butterfly all at once. Like we were saying earlier, make it manageable for yourself. Break that image down into component parts. And although they're not huge colouring pads, there's a lot of detail packed into every single image. So you might look at this whole image and think, wow, there's a lot to colour on there. Where do I start? Well, just start by breaking that image down. And this is something Leanne always says to do. Always look before you even start to take that pen to your paper. Look at that image, start to break it down, start to plan, have a rough plan in your mind as to where the light and shade is going to be, where you're going to add certain colours, what colour different areas are going to be, and then start to colour. So we're starting off with this butterfly. We've gone in with our IB3, then we're going in with our IB1, which is slightly lighter. It's the lighter of our two blues. And we're going to take this to about halfway down the wing. So again, I'm flicking outwards. And those two colours, with them being in the same colour family, they're going to blend absolutely seamlessly and beautifully onto this wing. So just flicking outwards, overlapping the colour ever so slightly between the light and the dark. It's going to allow us to have that blend transition between the two shades of pen. So we've added that onto there. So we've got sort of half a butterfly done. And this is when we're going to bring in our PV1. And all we're going to do is we're going to go right up to the edge of that blue, and we're just going to flick upwards, so we blend those two colours together. Now if you find that the colours aren't blending as well as you'd like, perhaps you're using two colours that are even more different than these two, perhaps darker colours, and all you're going to do is you're going to do a little bit of what we call tip-to-tip transferring. So it's transferring your darker colour onto your lighter colour, and then all you do is just colour down. So all we've done is we've sort of mixed those two colours together, and don't worry about contaminating your nibs. All you need to do is as you colour, that colour will come out and it will go back to your original colour of pen. So although you do sort of temporarily contaminate those nibs, as you start to colour, that colour will be flushed out and you'll get back to the original colour of your pen. So
I would find that quite scary, the idea that you're mixing those inks and think, oh my goodness, I'm going to ruin that pen, but it's not going to ruin it at all.
Absolutely, yeah. So you will temporarily dye the the end of that nib, but because we are colouring, that colour gets flushed out. You can see now on this pink pen we're back to the original colour. You can see on the end it looks exactly like it did. It looks good as new, so there's nothing to worry about at all. I know it is a little bit scary. I was doing a little bit of ombre stamping the other day actually, using different colours of ink pads, which is sort of a similar technique. I actually had a message from one of our lovely viewers saying, oh, you know, this is something that I know it gives lovely results, but I'm always a little bit worried about trying this, about contaminating your inks. I said, look, you know, you can always get rid of that ink. If it does sort of temporarily contaminate, it's not a problem. Bit of scrap paper, get that colour out and it will go back to your original colour. And it's exactly the same with your pens. You will have that colour on the end for as long as you colour that ink out. So we're just doing exactly the same technique on this other wing. Can you see it actually starts to blend really, really nicely by using that tip-to-tip transferring technique. You will get a really smooth blend, and that blend transition, even though they are two totally different colours. You've got that pinky purple and the blue, completely different colour families.
They work so well together, don't they? Like, despite their not being in that colour family, but they really do work.
Absolutely. I mean, you could be choosing any colours that you like that are sort of complementary within the box, but I think a pinky purple and a blue is always quite a nice combination, so I went for those two. And we're using fairly pale tones just to give us quite a nice soft look to this butterfly. But as you build up your confidence, as you come to pick and choose your colours from the box, and like we said earlier, do have such a lovely wide range of pen colours within your box. And we're just talking about the alcohol pens at the moment. Think you've got even more when you come to look at your Aqua pens, as we will be looking at a little bit later. You've got even more choice onto there. So lots and lots of different colouring opportunities with this box. Lots of different techniques. But if we go into the other side, that other half of the butterfly, we use exactly the same technique. So colouring in with the IB1 about half of the wing and using that lovely quality brush nib. It's so soft, it's so smooth and so easy to lay down the colour.
It is, it's got a lovely feel to it.
Absolutely.
I suppose it's a mixture of using the right card with the right inks, like with the right pens. But it's got a lovely, it's so therapeutic. I don't want to do anything apart from colouring in now. That's just what I'm going to be doing. So if you're in doubt and I'm really quiet, it's because I'm colouring in.
If we've lost her for a while, that's where she'll be. I think some of our viewers describe it as a colouring coma.
Yes. Absolutely. Definitely can understand that.
It's so therapeutic, so enjoyable to do. But like Becky was saying, it's a combination of the quality of the pens and the right cardstock. So like we were saying earlier, these card front colouring pads have been specifically designed for use with alcohol pens. So you've got that super smooth cardstock. It's not sort of a coated and glossy cardstock. It's not smooth in that way. It just gives you a really smooth, even surface. So that allows us to get that lay down of colour, that smooth blend between the different tones. It's going to give us an absolutely beautiful result when we come to do all our colouring. I find that if you are actually colouring onto the wrong type of cardstock, so something that's perhaps not smooth, it's almost like feels almost like your pens are actually running out of ink. It's quite a strange sort of sensation, I suppose. So make sure you do get your right cardstock to be colouring onto. You do, of course, get included in your box some of the alcohol marker and some of the watercolour card, but if you are needing to stock up and get extras, because let's be honest, you will, once you start colouring, you'll be wanting to practice with all your stamps, not just the stamps that you've got in the box, but all the stamps that you've got in your collection, perhaps the stamps that you're picking up on today's show. You're going to be wanting to do lots and lots of colouring, so make sure you've got your Nina cardstock for all of your alcohol pen colouring and your watercolour card for when you're using your Aqua markers. And that's going to give you the best sort of cardstock. It's going to give you the best results possible when you come to do your colouring. So just to finish off, I think I'm going to do the body in our PV tones. So all we're going to do is we're going to go in with our palest, which is our PV1. And can you see as our colour, this is the true colour of that pen. We've flushed all of that blue ink out of that nib, so we're back to sort of the pure colour of this pen. So absolutely nothing to worry about when we are doing our tip-to-tip transferring. It will go back to that original colour and you will be colouring with that pen just as good as new really, and you'll get that colour true to the pen. So that is how we can do a blend transition between two different colour families using tip-to-tip transferring, using two very different colours on there, but what an interesting and unusual effect that gives. Fantastic if you are perhaps doing unicorn manes or you are doing the tail of a mermaid. It looks fantastic, but learning that technique in the lessons and just applying it to everything else you've already got in your stash, like these fabulous colouring pad carved fronts.
We've had some comments coming in. Rebecca said, I haven't tried this technique yet. It would frighten me, but now Lizzie's told me I can do it. Great. Kathy said, I need a lot of practice in my colouring, or maybe just a little bit more confidence in myself. I think that's probably the case. You know, sometimes you do have to sort of give it a whirl, don't you, and have a little bit of a try. And Lynn says, I've never seen the tip-to-tip transfer before. That's why I love the colour show. You learn so much. Oh, well, I'm really glad that you are enjoying this. And obviously, keep those comments coming in. Everybody that puts in a comment today, up until sort of halfway through the very last show of the day, will be in with a chance to win a goodie bag full of lots of different things. We had a different goodie bag every day this weekend. So definitely ask us some questions. Send us some random facts. We had loads of random facts yesterday, actually, Lily, including, did you know sloths have green moths in their fur?
Oh, no,
I know, that's what we all thought.
I'm not sure I wanted to know, but thank you anyway.
You never know, it might come up.
You never know. I do love a good quiz show, so
So send in your random facts. That's what we all love to see. So what demonstration are we going to do next?
Should we have a little look at the animal
stamps? Yeah, I'll get the animal stamps out so people can have a look.
These are absolutely fabulous for practicing lots of techniques. If you're thinking about colouring your fur with your flicking techniques, these are going to be absolutely brilliant. So I think Becky is going to take you through the wide range of stamps that we've got in this collection. It's got a really nice varied mix of different animals, but they are fabulous to colour.
This bunny loves you. Oh, I love that. And with all of these stamps, these are, like you said, there's lots of space in them for you to get that kind of tone for your colouring in. Perhaps you've been using other stamps before with your colouring in and not really getting those techniques. These are big enough for you to actually get a proper kind of design here. So this is a huge saving on this. It's got 50% saving. So this is what your little stamps will look like once you get them with your little sentiments, other smaller stamps, as well as your large animal here. So this is the bunny one. Then we also have the little field mouse. That's lovely, fantastic for harvest time. That's really, really pretty, isn't it? Next one is the meadow hare. That's great, isn't it? Everyone loves a hare. Then we've got a fabulous fox. That almost, if you coloured that in a grey, that could almost be a wolf, couldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
It could work as a wolf.
Think of all the background techniques you could do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a perfect day. Oh, you can make that any colour, those little cats. Catitude is the next one with this gorgeous little kitten, looking very naughty indeed. Then we have Pause for Thought with this lovely kind of shaggy dog. Look at him. And then the final one is It's a Surprise. Boom. Cats always like to jump out of boxes, don't they? Cat in the box rather than a Jack in the box. So this is a great value. This is 50% off. That's 2020. Yeah. £22.96 or $30.82. But if you're in the Club Inspire, you'll get that for £18.35 or $24.66. Do remember you'll be getting double points on everything today. And if you're spending more than £10 or $10, you'll be getting this as a free gift. So Lily's going to be demonstrating with some of these animal stamps as well. I'm going to carry on with my butterfly while you're doing that.
Absolutely, yeah. You'll have to show us your colouring actually, Becky. It's looking fabulous, I have to say. I'm just having a little peek. I'm like, loving it. But it's so much fun, so much fun. But we're going to have a little look at our animal stamps. So I've got the meadow hare that you're getting in that collection. You're getting absolutely tons within this set of stamps. You're getting 40 elements, so lots that you can actually be practicing your colouring with. We're going to take a look at this image and we're going to have a little practice of the flicking technique. So we've had a little look at our flicking technique with hair, on butterflies, but it's perfect for use with your brush nibs when you are coming to colouring fur. So again, we've got this lovely full design. We've got the whole image, so not just the hair, we've got all the foliage around the outside as well. And we've got again, enough detail that we know where the light and shade is going to be, but not too much that it's not left us enough to colour in. We've got that lovely balance of detail in there, which is going to make our lives so much easier when we start colouring in. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our image first before we even put pen to paper, and we're going to decide where the light and shade is going to be and what area we're actually going to colour in first. So I'm going to focus, I think, on his belly, around this area, and again this is being stamped using an alcohol proof ink. We do have those on today's show, and it's been stamped onto our alcohol mark card that is within the box. And we're going to go for grey tones with this particular image. So I've taken my pen that's got the blender and IG8 on it, and I've also got the pen which is IG2 and IG5. We're going to start off with our lightest tone, which is IG2. And like we said earlier, we're just going to focus, I think, on this particular area here. Don't think that you've got to colour in all of the area that's going to be within this tone. Absolutely not. Break that image down, have a little look to start with, and start to section that area off and decide which area you're going to colour in first and exactly what's going to be darkest and lightest. So a little bit of planning before you start to come to do your colouring. So again, using that lovely quality brush nib, laying down that even layer of colour all over this particular part of the image to get that smooth blend of this ice grey too. So this is our lightest colour. Of course, we're going with our grey tones, but you've got some lovely brown tones within the box as well that we saw when we came to colour in that hair on that Natural Beauty stamp earlier. So if you wanted to be doing a brown hair, absolutely you could be with the pens in this box. And that's another great thing about this collection of pens that we've got within this particular box. You've got such a range of colours. Doesn't matter whether you want to colour in foliage or wildlife, or whether it be characters, flowers, whatever it may be, you've got sort of every eventuality covered because you've got so many different colours within there. I mean, I coloured each of the pens out one time onto that top row, and that's all the colours just of the alcohol pens that you're getting within the box. You can see you're getting tons of different colours to get playing with.
That's a really useful tip to, because sometimes when you actually look at the nib, the top of the pen, the lid of the pen, until you actually see it on a piece of card, you can't really tell how it's going to come out, can you? So
Absolutely.
Having those little colours on there just as a little, in fact you'd do that if you were painting, wouldn't you? If you were an artist and you're doing watercolour, you tend to put the colours, the tones and the colours that you're going to be using down the side of your painting, just to give you a bit of the way of identifying what you've used, what you've put together. That's
Absolutely.
A really good idea.
What I would definitely be doing at home is actually create a proper colour chart like we do with a lot of our other Spectrum Noir pens. I mean, I know I've got colour charts for my tri-blends, for my illustrators and all the rest of it. If you make a proper colour chart with these pens, you'll know exactly what colours you've got and exactly how they look like when you colour them down onto card. And a little tip when you are creating your colour charts, make sure that you're actually colouring onto your alcohol marker card. When you colour onto a different cardstock, you will get a slightly different colour representation. So by creating your colour chart onto the same cardstock that you'll actually be colouring your images onto, will give you that best representation of the colour, and you'll know exactly what the colours look like. Because of course we do have the colours on the lids of your pens, but you can never get that accurate representation. Colouring plastic versus the colour of the ink, it's never going to be absolutely exact. By creating that little colour chart, you know exactly what colours of pens that you've got, and when you come to decide what colours you are going to be working with, it just makes it so much easier. So what we've done with our IG5, which is our mid-tone, we've literally just followed those lines, that detail that we've got within this stamp, to add a little bit of shading just where those lines are. And again, we're using that flicking technique, that same technique that we've seen throughout the show, just to add that sort of realistic texture, that realistic fur-like texture onto our image. And then we're going in with our IG8. So it's a different pen, but it's the same colour family, so we know it's definitely going to blend together beautifully. And with it being a higher number, we also know that it is the darkest within this 3-pen blend. And quite often we do talk about 3-pen blends when it comes to alcohol pen colouring, and it is a really nice sort of easy place to start if you are sort of new to alcohol pen colouring and you're not quite sure about how many pens you need for a blend, it is quite nice and sort of straightforward to go with a 3-pen blend, but you don't just have to use 3 pens within a blend. We do have the duo colour markers within this set, so 2 pens within a blend will work beautifully as well. You can even have more than 3 pens within a particular blend, so you might want 4 or even 5 different pens. It just sort of depends on how large the area is that you're colouring, and also depends, I guess, on how many pens within that particular colour family you have. So don't think too much. It's not too much of a rigid rule. I know we talk about 3-pen blends a lot, but within this particular set of pens, you are getting your duo colours, so you know that those 2 pens, those 2 colours within the 1 pen even, are going to give you a lovely blend, and it's going to give you that light and shade with those 2 tones. So we've added that colour, that IGA, onto there. If you want to blend it through a little bit more, go back to your lighter colour, so it's the mid-tone, the IG5, and just pull out that colour a little bit more. If you just want to blend that through and give it a slightly smoother, sort of less marked difference between the two tones, you can absolutely go back with your mid-tone and just blend out that colour using that same flicking technique again. Just pulling that colour, pulling that darker colour out a little bit more, just to blend that through, and that gives us that lovely realistic texture to the fur. Quite easy to create. Again, just 3 different tones, 2 different pens, 3 different tones, and it allows us to give that texture onto there, but so much
absolutely
fun.
Mesmerising. It really is so clever, and every time you put that pen to the paper again, you get sort of more depth and more realistic kind of shape to it. It's really impressive.
Absolutely, and I always say, one of the things people ask quite often is sort of, how do you know when you're finished? And we get the same questions about when we're making cards, when we're making home decor pieces, and it's the same with colouring. How do you know when you're finished? And I always say, you're finished when you're happy. When you can look at it and you can go, right, I'm happy with that, that's when you're finished. And if you're looking at your image and you're not happy with it, you're not finished. And it's as simple as that. Just keep going until you are totally happy. And when you are happy with that area, that's finished, and you can move on to your next area. That is sort of the only rule when it comes to colouring. You're only finished when you're happy with it.
Only happy with it. That's a great rule to live by. A question that we've had in is, can you still do the online class with Leanne if you get the Academy of Colour now?
Yes, absolutely.
So you just use that QR code on that little booklet, that little piece of paper that's inside the box, and that will grant you access to everything.
So we launched this on Crafters TV back about March sort of time, but absolutely, if you're buying now, you're not missing out at all. Every single box, whether you bought it at launch or whether you're buying it today, will include this little card. On the back, you've got a QR code. Just scan that, or it also gives you a link, because I'll be honest, QR codes and me, straight over my head. I have no idea how they work. So just follow the link on there if you are a little bit like me and not into your technology, and that will take you to that dedicated page on the website where it's got all those videos. So it doesn't matter if you are starting your journey today, or it doesn't matter if you bought the box back in March, we're all going to be able to access those videos. And those videos aren't there for 30 days or until the next one comes out, or until we decide we're going to take them down now. Absolutely not. They are there for life. Whether you want to start colouring at 3 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep, or whether you want to spend a Saturday afternoon colouring, it doesn't matter. Those videos are there for you to start, to pause, to rewind at your leisure. Perhaps you want to watch half the video because you've only got a couple of hours. Perhaps you want to watch the whole video. It's completely up to you, but those videos are there for life.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to, I'm going to get access to that. I'm going to ask Leanne, can I watch?
You've got to buy the box.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to have to, I know when I came in I said I wasn't going to buy anything, but unfortunately I think I'm probably going to have to. We'll just keep it quiet. We do have some other bits and pieces for you. We do have a lucky dip bag. Who doesn't love a lucky dip bag? Now this is £3 or $3. That's, oops, £2.40 or $2.40 if you're a Club Inspire member. We had some beautiful pencils in here. So obviously it's a lucky dip, so you don't know what you're going to be getting, but you could be getting these Aqua blend pencils, not these particular ones because I've just dropped them out of the box, but these will be a nice new pack for you. It could be this, it could be one of these dies that we've got here. So we've got an assortment of different bits and pieces. It could be a stamp. We've got a beautiful deer here, or it could even be a double-sided die that we've got here as well. So you can buy 5, I believe, without having any duplicates. So no, for £3 or £2.40, $2.40, it's definitely worth doing. Everything in here is worth well over that amount of money. So even if you're just giving it a whirl, and even if you don't like the particular thing that's there, you can give it as a gift. But I'm sure you'll love anything that's in here, particularly those Aqua blend pencils. That's just a lucky dip that we've got, but we've also got some other goodies for you. This one here is your stamping bundle. Now you've got all sorts of different bits and pieces in here. So this is £25 or $25. Platinum price is £20 or $20. You've got all sorts of different stamps here. Now this one I think is going to be one that you'll use again and again because you've got all sorts of different sort of corners in here, background stamps that you'll be able to use. We've got one of these bouquet ones with the dies in there as well. Plenty of videos. We've used these ones quite often in shows, so you can see all the different techniques to put this one together. This one here with some fabulous florals here. We've got some violet roses here as well. And we do put down at the very bottom some inks that we recommend colour-wise if you're going to be wanting to recreate that particular design that's on the front of that package there, which is nice and useful. Now this is the terrarium, which I hadn't seen before.
A lot of people have been saying that, yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is really, really lovely. And terrariums are so popular at the moment in themselves, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Lots of use for this particular one.
I love
all sorts of different sort of ideas, those sort of occasions and that kind of thing. And then the last one, obviously butterflies. Who doesn't like a little bit of butterflies? So this is the stamping bundle here. The next one we've got is Nature's Garden. Move that one here. So there's so many goodies here. It's difficult to choose. This is the problem I have when I'm shopping at home. You know, I can't quite work out which one I want. I want them all. So we've got this really pretty, really pretty die and stamp set here. This for me is the kind of thing that a little girl would love. It's kind of a princess kind of floral archway that you could walk through. Beautiful. Then you've got some sentiments from our Autumn Blessings collection. These can be used for all sorts of things. So they're little sentiments like you are blessed, not just sort of autumnal kind of bits and pieces or fall kind of things that you might say. This is an embossing folder. This is a really beautiful wreath. And again, you could use this for so many different things coming into Christmas, but also for weddings. You'll get quite a lot of use out of this one. And you could then be using some of your flower-forming flowers to go around the edge to make that more of a 3D kind of thing. Even making this into kind of a piece of artwork for your home, that would be a great starting point for that one there. And then this one I know is Ben's favourite stamp and die set. So this is the little truck with various produce you could put inside your truck, including vegetables, flowers and bunnies, because that is the thing you always have in your truck. And then you've got a whole collection of different cardstock here. So you've got sort of linen cardstock, and you've also got Centura Pearl in here, different colours of teals, sage greens, pinks, and sort of lilacs and purples as well. So they're all going to work really beautifully together. So that is a Nature's Garden bundle. And then the final one, the final one has been the most popular one, I think. This is the flower forming one. So if you've never done any flower forming before, this is a great starter pack for you because everything is included in here. So many things to get out. So you've got your flower forming foam, and you have it in white, and you also have it in these fabulous colours. Now with the white one you can ink that up, so you can get sort of different tones on there, so you can really sort of make them into the kind of colours that you want. I love making flowers with this. I think it's really, really addictive. I say that about everything, unfortunately. That's part of the problem of working here, because you see these wonderful things, you see the fantastic bits and pieces that people can make, and you get totally inspired. You're going to be getting your ball tools here as well as the foam for creating those beautiful flowers. So you're going to get everything you possibly need to start this sort of journey in making flowers. You're going to get our clover dye here, which is really versatile. Michelle was talking about it yesterday and saying, actually, you can make so many different kinds of flowers just by using these particular dyes. And of course, you can use other flower dyes that you may already have. And then you've got this one here with some lovely floral designs in here. And finally, you've got some stamens here, some metallic stamens. So you've got everything in here contained that you might want. So this is £25 or $25. Platinum price is £20 and $20. Now, if you want to buy these, you want to have a look at the Cartload show on Thursday, and you'll have all the details in there, but they're definitely worth getting to start maybe doing something a little bit new. Perhaps you've never stamped before, get the stamping one. So make sure you pop those in your basket. Now, Lily, any more demos with the colouring ink? Because I really do love that.
Honestly, I could sit all day and colour. It's the same with the flower forming, actually. I could sit all day in flower form, but colouring, honestly, I'll sit down in the morning, I'll say, right, a few hours colouring, then you've got to move on to something else. And you look at the clock, and when you think it's about 10 minutes later, it's about 3 hours later, you're like, my goodness, you just get totally lost. But there's so many techniques to try. There's always something new to learn, which is something that I absolutely love, and it's just so much fun. But we're going to sort of switch lanes a little bit. We're going to go to what I think of as layer 2 within the box. So we've looked at layer 1, which is our alcohol-based pens. We're going to look at layer 2, which is our Aqua pens. And again, like we saw earlier, and yes, yours will be full. I won't have nicked any pens out of yours, I promise, and I won't have stolen a paintbrush either. Yours will be complete. You've got my word for that one. But these are dual-ended once again, but these are aqua-based. They're water-based pens. So when we are colouring with these, we're going to be wanting to use our watercolour card and a waterproof ink. You'll also find our waterproof inks on today's show. So if you go on the Shop the Day page, you'll find those on there as well. So 2 different colours in the one pen. Again, great in terms of saving space when you are coming to store these. Great if you are on the move, perhaps moving from room to room or going on little trips away. Great as we've got 2 colours within the one pen. It's like a 2 for 1 if you like, which is fabulous. So I'm going to be working these with some of our outline floral stamps. Now these are pretty new. I think they launched only last month, and these are fabulous. I know you guys at home absolutely loved these when we launched them last month. And they are great for colouring with your alcohol pens and your water-based mediums as well. And I've chosen the Divine Rose. I love this set. Roses have got to be one of my favourite flowers. They are so, so pretty. And the fantastic thing as well is that they come in so many different colourways. So it means that you can use lots of different colours to colour these in with, which is fabulous. So I've stamped a few of these out using my black my waterproof ink onto my watercolour card. When we come to look at watercolour card, you'll see that it's got an ever so slight texture to it, and that's what allows it to take the water really well. So I've chosen this particular pen, which is Crimson and Blossom, and I'm going for the Crimson. And I talked a little bit earlier about this little bit of plastic that we have included within the box. This is really, really important. Don't think that it's just a little bit of packaging and throw it away. You can see you've got that fabulous Spectrum Noir branding onto there. And this is great as a mixing palette, both for your alcohol-based pens and for your water-based mediums. So if I take my Crimson pen, and just like with our alcohol pens, you've got that brush nib on the end. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble a little bit of that colour down just onto my palette, rather than going directly onto my cardstock. By picking up the colour off of my palette and then going onto my image, just allows you to blend that colour a little bit easier.
Ah, clever.
It just makes it easy, because you can sometimes have, it's not hard work, and it's easy enough to do, but it's harder to lay down your colour and then blend it out with water than it is to work with it like being a paint. Just find it a lot easier. Little tip, you don't always need your cardstock underneath like you do with your alcohol-based pens. I just always have it there because it's force of habit, but you don't need that underneath. It's just more to protect my surface than anything else. Absolute crucial thing, plenty of kitchen roll or paper towel. I'm not sure what they call it in the US. I think they call it paper towel. Yeah. Paper towel in the US, kitchen roll in the UK. Make sure you've got plenty of this to hand, just for blotting, for mopping up any spillages, anything like that. Super, super useful. So I always have a sheet and a roll to one side as well. So we've got our colour that we've just scribbled out from our pen onto our palette. I've got a little pot of water just to one side, and I'm adding a little bit of water and I'm mixing this. So I'm like making my own paint. So we started off with a pen, but we can actually make it into a paint, which is absolutely fabulous. So working onto our image, and all I'm going to do, we're starting off quite watery, so it's going to be quite a pale tone to start with. We're just going to fill in this rose. So I'm not worrying about light and shade. I've not really done any planning at this point. I'm going to go in with the whole image. I'm going to colour the whole image rather than concentrating on sections. And all I'm doing is I'm laying down that colour. So I'm working with a smaller paintbrush that we've got included in the set. So within your box, we've absolutely left no stone unturned. We've included absolutely everything. So not only are you getting all the pens, but you're going to also get 2 paintbrushes as well. Your larger one, that wide brush, is absolutely perfect for all your background techniques. If you're doing your washes, your ombre techniques onto backgrounds, that's going to be the one to go for. But if you're doing anything a little bit more detailed, you've got this lovely precision brush within there. That's going to allow us to get into all the fine details like we've got on this stamp here. And this is from the Outline Floral collection that we've got on the Shop the Day page if you want to check this one out, because this is fabulous for practicing all your techniques. So all we've done is we've laid down the colour onto there. So we've got, it's slightly flat looking, so we've just got the one tone onto there with our crimson colour. Then all I'm going to do, you can at this point, if you want it slightly less blended and you want a more intense shot of colour onto there, you can dry at this stage. But we're going to go back in, so it's dried slightly, it's ever so slightly damp. We're going back in with some more of that colour that we've got on our palette. And when we're thinking about making our colours darker, because we're using exactly the same colour of pen, all we're going to want to do is use basically more ink and less water. That's all it is. So we started off with a more dilute layer, so it's more water and less pen. And as we move through to add more depth and shade onto there, we're using more ink, so more intense colour, and less water. It's going to be less watered down, so it's going to give us that more intense, more true to the actual colour of pen. Because if we colour the pen down, we can see the colour of the actual pen is a lot darker than the colour that we're working with now. Because we added it to our palette and we watered it down using our water and our paintbrush, it allows us to get all those different tones and shades from the one pen. We are just working with one pen at the moment. Well, not even one pen, it's half a pen, because we're using just the one colour within the one pen.
And you wouldn't choose to use the pen onto what you've been using the brush on?
Absolutely, you can do, but just make sure that this is dry.
Right.
So at the end, quite often what I'll do is once it's dry, so leave it to air dry, it won't take too long. Or of course you can use your heat tool just to speed it up. You can then go over the top of that dry ink using that pen into the very darkest areas to give you even more depth and dimension, and that will give you a lovely finishing touch just to make those shadows really stand out. So absolutely, you can go back over the top. You don't want to go back over the top when it's still wet though, because what you can end up doing then is you can actually end up diluting the ink within your pen if you are colouring onto wet.
Yeah.
Which is not too much of an issue if it's just a little bit, but it's something you don't particularly want to be doing. So I would always try and make sure that your coloured artwork is actually dry before you go over the top with a pen. But of course, you can be using your pen direct to your cardstock, and you can be blending it out. So if we just show you at this top bit, I can scribble some of that pen down, and I'm just getting a clean paintbrush, so a little bit of water, dabbing a little bit off. You can blend that colour out, but can you see you've got to work a little bit more to blend the colour out than you do if you are going from your palette onto your cardstock. But it's just a different technique. I mean, I use both. It depends what I'm colouring, exactly the sort of effect I'm wanting to create. But if you want to get that really easy blend from dark to light, I find it's easier to work from your palette onto your cardstock using your brush. And the fact that we've included that brush just means you've got absolutely everything you need to get started. So if you want to build up that intensity even more, so you can see we've started to build up quite a nice amount of light and shade onto there already. Applying the darker into those areas where there would be more shadow, perhaps where areas are overlapping the petals beneath, we get that light and shade onto there. If you really want to intensify that, what you can do is dry that off either naturally or with your heat tool, and then you can start to go back in, adding more colour onto there to make it even darker. When you're working with the ink underneath being dry, you'll find that the colour will be more intense.
Right.
But that's how we can work with our flower. If we have a look, I've stamped out some of the leaves that we've got within the collection, and we can actually apply exactly the same technique with the leaves. So I'm just grabbing one of my pens from the box. So we've got a couple of shades of green within the box, and as well, just another note, with these being water-based, they're really easy clean up. So you can see that I've still got a little bit on my palette. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water onto there. Could just be using a damp cloth, and then just a little bit of kitchen roll and wiping that up, and it comes off beautifully and easily. So you use this time and time again. It's not sort of a one-use product. You're going to be using this over and over again in your crafting. So I'm taking moss, which is one of our 2 green tones that we've got within our collection of Aqua pens, and again using a little bit of water and our paintbrush just to water down that colour slightly. And remember, we're starting off for our first layer, we're starting off with more water and less ink to give us a lighter tone, that less intense colour, just to lay down that first layer. And it's like our base layer, it's our base coat. We're filling in that area with colour. We're having that sort of starting point that's sort of a little bit of a springboard to add our shading onto. So at this point, I'm not worrying too much about where the light and shade is going to be. I'm just getting the colour onto there, and then we're going to add our shading afterwards. So now we're going to add a little bit more just onto my palette, just because we've watered down that top area a fair bit. And then in the centre we can see that we've got that veining detail already on the stamp, so all the clues are there, exactly the same as it was with our Natural Beauty stamps. All those clues have been drawn into that artwork, so we're not having to worry, we're not having to overthink about where all the light and shade will be. You can see the veining area where there's more lines within that stamped image, and there's going to be more shading onto there. So we just want to add a little bit more colour onto our artwork. Now these are of course Aqua pens, and like we have been showing, you can blend them out with water, and that's sort of their intended use, but you don't always have to add water. You can just use them direct from the pen, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with this slightly smaller area, just where those stems are. I'm literally just going to take the colour directly from the pen, just like I would with the alcohol pens, like we did earlier, and just colour that fine area in. Because we've got that lovely quality brush nib, it tapers to a really fine point at the end, and that allows us to get into all the detail, like into that really lovely intricate area of the stem, and that will just finish our artwork off really nicely. So you can see how easy it was just to get that lay down of colour, adding a little bit of shading by adding more watered down to start with, and then going in with more intense colour with less water afterwards to start to intensify that colour. That is almost dried now, so like we were saying with Becky earlier, we can go in, now the ink is just about dried, we can go back in with our pen, so straight from our pen onto our cardstock. In the areas where it would be darkest, we can add a little bit of the colour directly from the pen to really intensify and really add in even more shade and depth and dimension onto there. It's going to give us that realistic finish to all of our colouring. And of course, we are doing this technique on flowers and leaves, but you can be applying this technique to anything at all that you're colouring, perhaps any of those animal stamps that we've got on today's show, even the Natural Beauty stamps. It's that same technique that we're applying time and time again. So once you've mastered it once, you sort of really will be away, and you'll be colouring in lots and lots of different images. But very easy to do, but lots and lots of fun. So just get lost in the colouring. You can see by just adding in that final little bit direct from the pen, we get even more depth and intensity of colour onto there to give it that realistic finish.
That's absolutely beautiful. Gemma says, roses are my favourite flower too. My daughter's middle name is Rose.
Aww.
Sally says, random fact about colour. Red is the first colour a baby sees.
That's
I didn't know that. I
Didn't know
thought
that.
it was black and white, or maybe the ones, because lots of toys are black and white. I did not know that. Kerry said, you know what? I think Colour Me Happy is my favourite show of the week. I have learnt so many wonderful tips and techniques with a family of friends. Thank you very much. It's lovely to have you here. And Lynn says, I love using watercolours as they're more forgiving if you're new to colouring. I think you're right. Provided you've got watercolour paper and you're not trying to use watercolour pens on a piece of printer paper,
oh dear,
which I've tried to do.
Oh, it doesn't
Disaster.
end well.
You don't want to do that. And Lorraine says, so many fantastic hints and tips. Thank you, Lily. I think I'm learning so much today. It's brilliant. We have got a few other things on the show as well. We have one of our boxes. This is the Say It With Flowers. So this is a number 48. You've got loads of bits and pieces in here. This is £24.99 or $24.95. Platinum price is $19.99 or $19.96 in dollars. I'll open it up so you can see all the goodies you're going to be getting. But we talked about these quite a lot yesterday with Michelle. Michelle did lots of demonstrations for you as well yesterday. You're going to get loads of bits and pieces in here. So you have got your envelopes and your card blanks in here. You've got a mixture of little pearls for your decoration. You've got some stamps. So happy birthday. Life is better when you're laughing. I laugh a lot, so my life must be fabulous. Thank you. Sending a little note. Live every moment. Good luck. Lots of sentiments there that you're going to be using again and again. And then you've got these beautiful little dies. These are so versatile. They've got so many different things. Michelle did a little demonstration using these dies to create a kind of wreath effect, which you could use for spring, summer, all sorts of times of the year. So very, very versatile, and lots of little tiny ones. You could use the bigger ones for with your foam as well to do flower forming, that kind of thing. But you've got lots and lots of options with this. Then you've got some beautiful organza ribbon in a kind of dark green and an aqua turquoise, and also a white. And then finally, you have got a wonderful selection of paper. You've got loads and loads of this paper, which is a kind of wood effect in all sorts of different sort of colours and hues. Now, great for kind of a nautical theme, but actually they're really quite, because they're so neutral, you could use these for all sorts of different things. You've got other ones which are a linen look, but actually no, they're nice and smooth. They don't actually have a linen texture to them. Then you've got some other sort of coloured ones in a linen, wider ones with sort of this kind of wood effect in a kind of oak, this one in a more of a white kind of colour. And then you've got linen cardstock. Now this does have a texture to it, but you've got these in the greens, the sort of salmon pinks, the burgundies, dark oranges, and sort of pale and sage greens. So they're all going to work really well together with the embellishments that you've got, all of those ribbons, and this is going to be a fantastic bargain for you for only $19.99 if you're in the club. So on the Academy of Colour, because that's what we've been talking about today, you've got to have it. Let's be honest, you've got so many bits and pieces in here. So you've got your 25 markers, you've got your paintbrushes, you've got your cards, you've got your stamps, all sorts of different things. So if I bring this here, and I'm hoping that no one will notice if it finds its way into my bag a little bit later. I'm sure someone will, but you've got so many bits and pieces in here. So you've got those watercolour markers over here, these ones in the blue, with your white pen and your paintbrushes and your spray, and then you've got all of these different colours. So remember, everything, all the pens are double, I was going to say double jointed. They're probably not double jointed, double ended. So you're going to have lots of different colours. And as you saw in that demonstration, Lily was sort of mixing things up with different colours, and they're not going to sort of get muddy. If you're using those alcohol markers, you're going to be able to sort of mix those colours, even if they're not the same kind of hue. So really, really versatile. So if you look at these colours and think, well, you know, there's not that many in there. Well, there are, and there's more, because you can obviously create your own colours in here. And I'm also going to show you what we've got inside the binder. Oh, Tracy's going to be really angry with me for disrupting this display. So in your binder here, you've got all of your different bits and pieces about how to use your Academy of Colour, and also all of those little stamps that you saw Lily talking about. So these are going to be the stamps that are going to be absolutely ideal for you to start your colouring journey. And these are the stamps that Leanne uses in the lessons that you'll be able to see online. So you can see that they've got quite a lot of empty space in there in order for you to get that sort of full idea about how to use those pens to their full potential. You've also got one of these ones with the lady with all the hair. Getting that technique of being able to get the hair and the skin right is a real talent, and that is something you're going to be able to do once you sort of have a little bit of a play. You've got other ones with flowers. You've got sentiment stamps in here as well, so you're going to be using this for all sorts of different things. You'll also get at the very back some little folders, plastic folders for you to put your work in as well. So a beautifully presented box. This is a fantastic gift for somebody. Did I mention to anybody it's nearly my birthday? I haven't mentioned it yet today, but I mentioned it probably about 40,000 million times yesterday. I'm hoping that someone I know and love is watching the TV and thinks maybe Becky would like one of these. They're probably not, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Great gift for somebody. Just saying. Now, Lily, you've got a couple more demonstrations for us? Yeah.
Now, so we've sort of shown you how we can do all our shading and build up our light and shade on our coloured images. But let's get a little bit messy, have a little bit of fun with our Aqua pens, because you can do lots of different background techniques when we are using our Aqua pens. Not just about colouring your stamped images, backgrounds, lots of different things we could be doing with those. So I'm going to take some of the pens from our box. So we're going to go in with Wildflower. Now, working onto my glass mat, you can use a non-stick craft mat if you would prefer. You will get a slightly different technique, but totally up to you. And now this might seem a little bit, oh my goodness, she's sort of graffitiing onto the mat. What's this all about? With them being water-based, easy clean-up, so it will just wipe clean. I won't be doing this with our alcohol pens because they will, you can colour onto non-porous surfaces, so they will actually dry onto a glass mat. So then I'm going in with my purple and then my magenta, and I'm literally just scribbling down a few areas of colour onto our mat. And at this moment it's sort of like, oh my goodness, has she completely lost the plot?
I was thinking that, Lily.
Yeah, not just yet, I don't think. That, you know, that might be later in the day.
I thought it's a little early to completely lost the plot on a Sunday.
Oh, blimey,
It's only just the afternoon, let's be honest.
What's happening here? What's she doing? She's defacing the glass mat. She's just scribbling out colours. Any skills that she had when it comes to colouring have all just been thrown out the window. I mean, what is that? Let's be honest. But let's make think of it. Let's bring in our spritzer bottles. So we're actually including this in the box as well. So it's not just the pens, not just the stamps, but the tools as well. And all I've done is I've filled it with some water. This isn't anything magical in here, not any like funny lotions and potions. It is literally just water from the tap. And we're just going to start spritzing the colour. You can see that it's starting to improve ever so slightly. Not a lot, but ever so slightly. The colour is starting to move. But then we're going to take our piece of alcohol, not alcohol-based card, watercolour card, and all we're going to do is just going to lay that down, smooth it down a little bit, and pick it up. And we're going to do the same again. I'm going to repeat, and we're going to start to pick up some of the colour from that mat that look like a real good old mess of scribbles, and look at the sort of techniques we can start to create. So just keep dipping until you've got enough colour on there. You might want it sort of completely covered in colour. You might want to leave some areas white onto there, but just pick up as much colour as you want. And then I'm going to go a little bit more. If you want to sort of smooch down the edges, it'll give you that edge effect. So if you literally just put your card down, just move it down a little bit so you pick up more of the edges, that will start to frame that artwork a little bit more. But really easily, we can start off with something that looks like an absolute mess, an absolute dog's dinner, and we can create something that got almost like galaxy sort of feel. Great for anything underwater.
Yeah,
you've got mermaid stamps. But how easy was that to create using just our glass mat? But you can see we've still got a fair bit left on our glass mat. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spritzer again, and I'm just going to spritz once more just add a little bit more water. Going to get another piece of our watercolour card. We're going to do the same again. We're just going to pick up some of that colour, and this will be more dilute now because this is sort of like our, almost like when we do our stamping, we do our second generation. That's a little bit what this is like, our second generation. We're not going to waste any ink at all. We're going to use everything that we've got on our glass mat. We would get a sort of a second, a third, and maybe even a fourth. You can just sort of keep going until you've used up everything that's on that glass mat. And again, just sort of sweeping it around to get that ink around the edges that frames our artwork really nicely. This is a lot more purple, this one, than the first one, but totally different effects. Just leave them to dry. You can blast it with a heat tool. It might spread that ink around a little bit. Just different effects you can get. But you can see how easily you can actually create background effects using just your glass mat, just a few colours of pen and your spritzer bottle. And of course, with it all being water-based, it's really easy. You can literally just wipe off your glass mat afterwards and it'll be good as new, and you can go again and use your glass mat for all your different techniques. But if you do that onto your non-stick craft mat, you'll get a slightly different effect just with it being a different surface. But how easy was that to create? And Leanne will show you a lot of different techniques, backgroundy sort of techniques in the lessons. She'll show you the salt technique, salt water technique, even techniques with bleach. But it's really fun. You can absolutely get playing with your aqua pens. I love creating backgrounds like this. You can sit just on an afternoon, create lots and lots of backgrounds, so that when you come to do your crafting, you've got lots of backgrounds to choose from, and it's just great fun. Get a little bit messy, nothing too bad, a little bit messy, a few inky fingers, but with it being water-based, it will just clean up after, nice and easy, but such fun to create.
Lovely, I really like that technique. If you wanted to, if you were rushing, you were doing Russian crafting, could you use a hairdryer on that? No, not Russian crafting.
Russian crafting, we've all been there, Becky.
I don't know what Russian crafting would be. Chilly. I don't know. It'd be a bit cold in Russia. I don't know if you could. Can you dry that with a hairdryer?
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, you can dry it. The only thing to be aware of, with it being water-based, you might move some of the ink a little bit. You might move a little bit of the water, and it'll give you a slightly different technique. But absolutely, yeah. If you are doing Russian crafting or rushing crafting, whichever it may be, you can blast that with a hairdryer or a heat tool.
I do wonder what maybe Russian crafting is whittling out those little Russian dolls and painting those.
Oh,
which I'd really love to do.
Do you know what I would? It's another craft I add to the ever-growing list.
I can imagine. So the stamping platform that you were using earlier on, you were using the 8x8, I think.
Oh,
so this is the largest one that we have, or one of the larger ones. So we do have a 6x6 and a 4x4, I believe. Now these are really great for you. I was saying yesterday, for quite a long time, I denied myself a stamping platform because I thought I don't really need one of those, but actually I realised, God, I really do need one of those. Makes everything so much easier. So this is £22.49 or $26.99. If you're in a platinum, price would be $17.99 or $21.59. Remember, you do get your double points. Anything over $10, you will get that free gift of that little heart box. Now, this is still super, super popular. So this is our Weekend Super Saver, our Jubilee special Weekend Super Saver. Lily, did you put this together?
So all the products in there are specifically chosen to work well for the Jubilee, but to be quite frankly, just a stonking good deal.
I absolutely, and I blame you for making me want to buy it. I'm sorry.
I do the same to myself. I put it together and I'm thinking, yeah, I think I need to buy this. I've already got some of the bits and pieces in there, but quite frankly, at that sort of price, it doesn't really matter if you've got a few of the bits in there, especially with the card. But be thinking about gifts. Perhaps you've got maybe half the items in there like I have. Keep the half that you've not got, the other half, split it between your friends for gifts. Brilliant.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. So you're getting £100 worth or $130 worth of goodies for only £30 or $40, or if you're in Club Inspire, that is £24.32. If you just bought this on its own, or with this little die over here, so this is your Tea Party waterfall die, and then this is your little Celebrate die, that would be £30 or $40. And you would be getting, effectively getting all the rest of this for free. So you're getting a huge bundle of bits and pieces here. So you have my favourite 12 by 12 paper pad. I know I don't need another one, but I certainly want that one. You'll be getting 2 ink pads. One is your metallic pigment in platinum, and then you've got your water reactive in crushed velvet. You've got 10 sheets of deep purple Centura Pearl card. You've got 10 sheets of the platinum. You've also got the Sarah Signature Garden Party die for Celebrate. That's the one that we talked about earlier. You've got the beautiful rosette, the summer pennant. You've got the foliage swirls and the traditional lace die as well. So you've got a huge amount of bits and pieces in here. And you're absolutely right. If there's just 1 or 2 things that you want for yourself, you could put those to one side and you could give the rest of them to everybody else. Really wonderful. We've also got, these are our foliage dies that we had, we showed you yesterday. So these were super popular. This is my favourite one out of them all. Again, these are in my basket. This is your fancy filigree. So you got these in the whole collection for £23.97, sorry, £23.97 or $29.85. So you've got this first one here. So this is your fancy filigree. Then you've got your dainty snowdrop, which I think would look perfect with a little fairy underneath, and maybe using some of those techniques you've just done with that watercolour paper, sort of picking up all those inks behind that, that would look really quite spectacular. You've got your elegant flourish, this one here, very, very simple, but really very usable, and your timeless florals here. And you'll be able to see these later on in Second Chance Sunday as well, which are going to be at 6 p.m, 1 p.m, or 10 a.m. Then lots of people have been messaging in, and we want you to carry on because I do love a random fact. And because we want you to message in, we're going to give you the opportunity, anyone that messages in throughout today, and probably until the sort of last half of the last show, well, first half of the last show, you're going to be in with a chance to win this goodie bag. This will be the actual goodie bag we will send you. These, well, not this particular one, because this one's looking a bit ropey, this little bag, but these are the items you'll be getting in here. So you've got your Spectrum Noir acrylic markers. You've also got, there's a lot in here. You've got your metallic markers here as well. You've got some Violet Studio little pom-poms here for decorating all sorts of different things. You have a happy birthday die. You've got some stamps here as well. You've got this little gift tag die here as well, and little sentiments on the back. You will also have an embossing folder. It's just going to keep on coming, this one here. You've got this beautiful rose stamping set. And then finally, the big one, the biggie. You've got this wonderful kit full of crafts. And so this is the Year of Crafts. You've got all sorts of different things in here. Really, really good prize. So definitely just email, message in on Facebook or YouTube. Ask us questions. Lily's here to answer your questions, whether they're about colouring or any kind of craft. I think between the two of us, we can come up with lots of different crafts that we do. I think so. So
we want to
do
hear
message in. We would love to hear from you. I'll just have a look at a few people that have messaged in. Everyone's saying they've always been fascinated by your work, Lily. Pam says, I've been watching you for a long time and I've not commented, but I love your work. Aww. Christine said, I'm learning so much today. Sandra said, Becky, I pulled the June birthday to get my Say It With Style. I think I'm going to be talking about my birthday for a long time.
Can I just say it's my birthday as well this month?
Pardon?
Can I just put it out there? It's my birthday this month as well.
Oh, is it really? When is your birthday?
29th.
Oh, yeah.
So if anybody's watching,
I said this
presents.
yesterday. All the best people's birthdays are in June.
It's true.
David Beckham.
Well, yeah.
Us.
Point proven. I mean, we're obviously in the same sort of league as David Beckham, but you know.
Lots of people love that effect with the tie-dye kind of effect. It's really good for backgrounds. And other people saying great gift. Before we quickly go, I'm going to just show you our gift bags before we run out of time. So I've got the Lucky dip. Okay, let's just do these two. Right, so this is the stamping bundle, first of all. I will show you the other ones a little bit later. So this is £25 or $20. Platinum price is £20 or $20. You've got all these different stamps in here, stamps and dies here, so you could make this sort of lovely bouquet. You've got other sort of background ones as well as little flowers, and we're giving you information about the kind of colours you could use in order to make that little design. This one, the terrarium, I really like, and I think that's a great one. I would use that a lot. And then finally, we've got little butterflies, so you're always going to be needing that. So £25 or £20, $20 if you're in the club. And then finally, we have our lucky dip. So this is £3 or $3. That's £2.40 or $2.40 if you're a Club Inspire member. And you'll be able to get one of these things here. So you've got a double-sided die just here. You've got some stamps. You've got some other little dies, bits and pieces here, and potentially some of these Aqua blend pencils as well. So lots to show you today, and we're going to be back later on at 2 o'clock, 9 a.m. and 6 a.m. with Masterclass. What have we got on Masterclass? Lots of other bits and pieces?
Oh, nesting dies.
Nesting dies.
So my most favourite dies
Fantastic.
ever. Can't wait.
Very much looking forward to that. So have a lovely lunchtime or breakfast, whatever you're going to be having later on, and join us later on today. We'll see you later. Bye.